whatever you allow in your heart, whether it's anger, resentment, gratitude, has the power to shape the trajectory of your life. I truly don't think that is an overstatement because bitterness left unchecked can grow deep. It is like poison that you think is being given to the person on the other end, but really you're both drinking it. And it's like a slow trickle to death. Hey everyone, it's Natalie Grace. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to dive into something that so many of us do. Pretty much every human on earth can relate to this, which is venting. Sometimes we just need to let it out, right? Get things off our chest. We're even told it's healthy, right? Well, what about venting in marriage, specifically about our spouses? Well, I'm going to dive into this and explore how something that is seemingly harmless can lead us down paths of deception, division, and destruction if we're not careful. So let's take a closer look. How this kind of unfolded is I recently came across a Facebook post from a mother venting anonymously about her husband on a private group. And the post was long, but the story is that both she and her husband work full-time. However, since she's returned to work from maternity leave, she is still the primary caregiver for their child, taking over almost all responsibilities like daycare drop-offs, lunches, bedtime, bath time, excluding the one day that she works and her husband has off. And she said she's so depleted and exhausted that she barely has time for herself, to shower, or even just do basic outings like get her nails done and, get a massage every so often, things that she used to enjoy doing. But it seems like her husband has the time to do the things that he likes. And the result is that she is resentful and unhappy. So that is kind of the story. Obviously, my heart really goes out to this mom. I've also seen posts like this multiple times across different forums, whether it's Facebook or Reddit. I've seen a variation of this kind of post where mothers are just overwhelmed and just exhausted by taking on so much, and they have this frustration because their husbands are not contributing to the level that they are or the level that they believe their husbands should be contributing. And the end result is the same: bitterness and resentment. And not surprisingly, the comments are full of people there to support, offer validation, and, just remind these moms of their worth and what they deserve. And, there is some genuine kind of non-biased advice. But something else that is very dominant in these conversations is this kind of vengeful, cynical energy that tends to have a very harsh narrative of men and fathers. And the suggestions seem to jump to separation and divorce far too easily. So I'll just paraphrase, but these are some of the comments I read. Since you're doing everything yourself, you may as well get the alimony and leave him. Single mom here, it's just better this way. Better find a man who values your worth. Remind him that you don't need him. And then a lot of moms kind of sharing their own experience and how they kind of use threats to get their husband to do more, threats of separation, um, things like that. So this is when I really have to pause because, you know, as much as this is probably feeling very supportive and empowering to this mom in the moment, I kind of have to step back and ask, are we really helping this woman? Are we helping her, or are we leading her and this family down a path of destruction in a situation that we actually don't know very much about? Because we have to be honest, we don't know a lot here. We don't know much about him, their relationship, their personalities. And without this, any comments can really only offer her superficial validation, that is only really fueling her already existent anger and resentment. And to be clear, this conversation is not about serious violations of marriage, like infidelity or abuse. Those are different serious conversations. So that is, this is not an issue of human rights that we're talking about. Mainly what's going on here, and what is most often happening are struggles of imbalance. So I just want to get that out of the way. So why does this commentary really matter? I mean, they're just forums. No one's meant to put so much weight or importance on them. Well, one of my favorite verses in scripture is Proverbs 4:23, which says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." And what this tells us is whatever you allow in your heart, whether it's anger, resentment, gratitude, has the power to shape the trajectory of your life. I truly don't think that is an overstatement, because bitterness left unchecked can grow deep. It is like poison that you think is being given to the person on the other end, but really you're both drinking it. And it's like a slow trickle to death. Symbolically, I mean, sometimes literally, but it is a trickle to destruction. And so we have to be vigilant about the kind of counsel that we let into our hearts, and also the counsel that we give others, because words have power. It truly can shape our destiny. And just think about it. How many divorces or marriages could have been saved if those bitter seeds were just caught early? They were just nipped in the bud. And instead, seeds of humility, compassion, forgiveness were nourished. I know the answer is mighty. Okay? It's a mighty number, whatever it is. And so when she sees comments saying things like, he just doesn't value you enough. You're better off finding someone who's going to respect you more, and he's sexist, or he's a narcissist. That's a big one. Then what happens? It plants a seed in her mind. And she starts thinking, yeah, I do deserve more than this. You know what? I did not sign up for this. This is not the man that I agreed to marry. Maybe there is someone out there who will respect me more and treat me better. When the reality is, this is the man that she's meant to be with, and God has a very fulfilling life planned for them. But she let a corrupt seed take root. And just like that, arguments, bickering, man feels disrespected, belittled, they're not seeing eye to eye, then separation, and then a broken family. Here's the thing. Satan doesn't show up wearing a sign that says, I'm Satan, I'm the devil. No, he is far more cunning. He masquerades as an angel of light. You know, when you go back to the Garden of Eden, Eve did not see the snake and see the snake as the devil. She heard what the snake was saying and thought, yeah, this sounds good. You know, God is holding out on me. Like, why can't I eat that apple? That's going to make me better. And so what was evil looked good. And I know a lot of people think of these stories as myths, but they are stories that reflect human nature. They were stories that reflect human life. And that's why they still exist today. That's why they've stood the test of time. You know, there are forces of darkness out there. We are in a spiritual battle. So we have to acknowledge that sometimes the things that can seem attractive and look good to us, empowering, are the very things that are tearing us down. And, you know, nothing good comes from a prideful, self-righteous spirit. Real progress, real joy comes with humility, sacrifice, and love. And that's where your true strength lies. And so, to the woman in that anonymous Facebook post, and to anyone else who kind of shares the same feelings as her in terms of being overwhelmed and kind of feeling this disconnect from your husband, I encourage you to shift your focus. You know, instead of listing the ways that he's falling short and, you know, focusing on what is wrong, just think about what he's doing right. Think about what you're grateful for and what dad is doing right. Write it down. Thank him. You know, a little appreciation can breathe life into someone. And then, you know, with humility, ask yourself, you know, where have I fallen short a little bit as his partner, as his wife? Not just as a mom, but as his partner. You know, have I been a little bit insensitive to his feelings? Have I really kind of seen things from his own experience and perspective? And I would just say to choose a day and just make him the most important person in your world again. And I believe that you will be blown away by the changes. You know, it takes two. I know it does. And I'm not saying that he doesn't have faults that he can't work on, but I think that as women, we have so much more influence than we give ourselves credit for. And it just takes one person to start and make that and start a transformation. Okay. So you're the one reading or watching this, so it may as well be you. So we've talked about how venting can lead us down these potentially harmful paths if we're not careful. And so now let's look at how we can stand strong in our marriage and relationships and find genuine empowerment. So I think first and foremost, we really have to acknowledge what real partnership is and isn't. And, you know, just how businesses assign roles to individuals based on their strengths, marriage should really be no different. It's a partnership like no other. And So instead of getting caught up in, who's doing what at all times and equal division, we have to ask, is it reasonable in our situation to expect an equal division of responsibilities at all time? Or do we have different roles that are equal in value? And, I know this can be like touchy these days, but I'm just going to speak the truth. Men and women are different. We are different. It's not a bad thing. One is not better than the other. We are equal in value, but different. And so rather than deny this or see it as a hindrance, it's easier to embrace these differences as complementary. Obviously, every relationship, everyone has their unique situation. So this is more just an in general, it is helpful and healthy to embrace differences than see it as a setback. And absolutely, it is too much for a mother to be solely responsible for the children and have a full-time job. If he is expecting a traditional wife to take care of the kids, then he really should be this traditional sole provider. Something's got to give. A compromise has to be made. But also, I just want to point out that the kind of dominant frustration for a lot of moms in these groups is that dad is not as hands-on with the children as she is. He's not contributing as equally as mom. But I really think that we have to be honest as mothers and take a step back and think, are we giving dad the space to step in as equally and do things his own way? And I'm not trying to be stereotypical, because as moms, we have the best intentions, but sometimes, our motherly instincts can come across as, can translate to controlling some situations. And most of the time you can't blame us. I mean, we've either carried the baby for 9 months, or we've just spent the last year on maternity leave with every waking moment of our life with our baby, basically. So it's only natural that, both parents start working, and mom still kind of has this feeling of staying as the primary caregiver, because that's also just her instincts coming out. And, it might take some time for that balance to work itself out, or maybe it won't. She's just going to have that instinct. But I think that we have to give dad some grace, that if we are very quick to jump in, if we're very quick to correct him and maybe criticize things that he's doing, if he's doing something the way we wouldn't do it, it can be kind of discouraging for dad. He might just pull back. Okay, yeah, you're right. You're the mom. Mom knows best, right? And so I really think that we owe it to dads to give them some grace and just recognize that they're trying to figure out this parenting thing just as much as us. And sometimes things don't come as second nature to them as it might. Dads have their own fatherly instincts, but they're just going to do things a little bit different. And so I think we have to acknowledge that and embrace that, and kind of recognize where we might have been a little bit insensitive. Maybe recognize where we are taking control over situations and kind of preventing us from taking that equal share of caring for the children, caring for the child. And then I think the second important thing to remember is that marriage, like anything else, moves through seasons. It flows through different seasons. And any parent knows, for example, that sleepless nights with newborn won't last forever, but it is what's required in this season. And so mom might be in greater demand when the children are young. When they're babies, mom might be in greater demand. But flash forward a few years, and maybe it's dad who's taking them to their activities, helping with homework, taking them to sports games, things like that. And then mom is devoting some more time to her career and work. So I think it's really important that we look at the whole picture, look at the long-term journey rather than just focusing on this one season or snapshot in our marriage. It really is about supporting one another, embracing our strengths, and sometimes making sacrifices for the best of the family. Okay, so now I'm just going to dive into some resources that have really helped me and that I would recommend if you want to kind of dive further into this and really strengthen your marriage and relationship. And so, number one, and I know that this is going to make some eyes roll, okay, because it definitely did for me at first. And it is called The Proper Care and Feeding of Husbands. Okay, I promise I am not from the 50s. But yeah, this book is packed with insights. Dr. Laura, I can't really pronounce her last name, Schlesinger. Gosh, I gotta figure that one out. But yeah, she is a tough, no-nonsense voice who challenges a lot of modern views on relationships. And I find that it can either really resonate with women or rub them the wrong way. In my case, I really appreciated it. It really helped to reframe my perspective and kind of see things from a man's point of view, and definitely helped me have more compassion towards men. And yeah, I absolutely believe that this book has the power to transform marriages. And then the next one is Stephanie Ek. She has a YouTube series on marriage, and it's rooted in biblical principles, but there is so much value and insight. Anything Stephanie Ek does is just truly phenomenal. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about her. She's just beyond gifted and has so much wisdom. And yes, they are rooted in biblical principles, but if you are not of the faith, I still wholeheartedly believe that you will get value from it. So absolutely, I would check out her YouTube series. It really blessed me, and I believe that it will bless you too. So that is pretty much it from me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to guard your heart, lean into love, and always be careful about the counsel that you allow in your marriage and your family. It's worth fighting for, you guys. It's worth fighting for. So I would love to know if this little discussion helped you, resonated with you. Have you struggled a little bit with resentment in your marriage, in your relationship, and how did you deal with that? Did venting give you what you were looking for? I'd love to hear your thoughts and what helped you through these experiences. So thank you so much, and don't forget to share and subscribe to my channel, Grace of Bell.